They getting them. They playing Pokemon over there. Got to catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. So what's going on is the National Guard has been sent over to DC. They are removing all the homeless people. They're being told that they could either go to the homeless shelter or they can go to jail. And to be quite frank, I think this is a long time coming. I hope that whenever they're done with DC that they move on to other states. I do. I'm tired of seeing it. Like, just because, well, you have to keep in mind that if they're on some kind of narcotic when they get booked at the police station, there's a good chance they may end up in like a rehabilitation center. So I'd imagine that a lot of homeless people that are on drugs, they're most likely going to go from the jail to the rehabilitation center. And if they end up back on the street, it's just going to be a cycle that keeps repeating. Well, it's not necessarily about being hired. It's about like not being able to go to the store without being chased down by a drug dealer. You know what I'm saying? Like, or someone that's trying to sell you something or asking for money. Like, I get that it sucks being homeless, but just because you're homeless doesn't give you the right to set up shop at a public park where there's supposed to be kids playing, where there's supposed to be families gathering. That doesn't give you the right to be there. That doesn't give you the right to block an overpass because you need a place to stay. That doesn't give you the right to sit there and go in between cars and ask for money. Like, you would be surprised how much money these people bring in. Like, a lot of homeless people, they have phones. They make a good amount of money being homeless. They just don't spend it well. They always spend it on stupid shit. That's the problem. I think, like, some people were able to get, like, $25 an hour being homeless, just walking through the street, getting people to give them money. You can get a lot of fucking money being homeless. Some can work. Yes, you're not wrong, and you're not wrong for feeling this way, but at the same time, it's also causing a lot of problems. Like, not being able to go to a gas station without being, like, harassed by some guy trying to get money, or getting robbed, or who knows what else. Like, you would be surprised how many people that are homeless do things to get money. Like, it's a problem, yes. No doubt. This may not be the best way to solve the problem, but it's something. And my view of it is like, instead of counter-protesting this, instead of being at the Capitol protesting this, why don't you guys get money together and build them a home? You could build like a big home and you can house everybody. Better yet, if you really feel that way, if you feel that wrong about it, you always have a house. Why don't you put them in your backyard? You have a house, put them in your house. That's my view of it. Is like, if there's really a problem with it and you want to do something, you can. Standing there with a sign picketing is not the way. You could give them jobs. You know how many of these people, if you gave them a roof over their head and you told them, if you do X, Y, and Z for me, I'll pay you X amount of money? How many of these people would probably get themselves together if you give them the fucking chance? Straight up. But letting them stay where they're at is not okay. Letting them be homeless is not okay. Letting them clutter around public parks and under overpasses and in the streets is not okay. There's so many other things that can be done with these people. Instead of getting these foreigners to come in and take our jobs, we could be giving these people our jobs. This is the first step in addressing a huge problem. Like, I think DC is number one most, it's like the criminal capital of the freaking US at this point. You know?
You're going. Your hands are already cuffed. You're going in the trunk.
You know that there are rehabilitation programs for homeless people, right? There are programs that give people a place to stay temporarily where you could get back on your feet once you get a job. These homeless people are choosing not to utilize these because they're making a lot of money sitting out in the middle of the day, you know, like they're not doing anything. They're getting fucked up on drugs and getting high as shit, and instead of utilizing the programs at hand, yeah, it sucks. They suck. But if you've got nothing else better to do, why not do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not apply for like there are so many programs that are offered to these people, and they just don't do it because they want to sit on their ass out in the middle of public and get high. Not enough for the amount of people. Well, I do think that it's also the facilities' fault. The facilities that facilitate these people that can help them, they need to get out. They need to get off their asses and get out to where these homeless people congregate, and they need to give them flyers to go there so they can get help. It's not just a one-way problem. It's both ways. There's always something that can be done.
Yep. Catching what? Idiots. Just shut the fuck up. You're getting in the, yep, get in the box.
And you have to keep in mind, this isn't a new law. Vagrancy and congregating like this in areas is illegal. It was a law that's been around for years. In fact, if you see a homeless person with a shopping cart, they made it illegal for you to have a shopping cart so that way they could lock up homeless people. These laws have been in place for years. They just haven't been enforced. That's the problem.
Get in the box.
And look, I know that there isn't enough space for these homeless people, but you do realize that jail populations, the jails themselves get paid based on however many people they have in there. So, if anything, this could give them more money to expand and have the space. That's one of the shitty parts about the way our system's set up.
Nope. Somebody
like I said, they are being offered to go to homeless shelters. They can either go to the homeless shelters or they can go to jail. That's their alternatives.
In the box.
Go ahead, bro.
Get in the box.
And the homeless shelters give them opportunities. Like, homeless shelters are one of those tools that you could utilize to get a damn job. Like, you can't sit here and say that there's nothing these people can do other than sitting on a street corner. No, there's a lot they can do. They just choose to sit on a street corner because they make enough to pay for their drug habit. Like, that's how it is. That's really how it is.
Bro,
Time to get in the box.
What the fuck?
That's a lot of words for somebody that's about to get in the box.
The kids on me and I'm not giving it to y'all, bro. Don't text me, bro.
How else are they supposed to handle it? Like, the reason why it's such a big shock right now is because it hasn't been handled in over, like, probably 10 years. Like, these laws have been around forever. They just haven't enforced them. So, of course, they would need to mobilize the National Guard to start cleaning this up. Like, not doing anything is a problem. Letting it continue is a bigger problem. So, like, at least they're stepping in and doing their part, you know?
On me. That's all he asked. Why am I arrested?
Oh, they got backup.
Listen, why am I arrested? I don't listen, why? Y'all niggas think y'all can do whatever y'all want. I don't give a fuck about that badge. I'm a personal trainer, nigga.
How you gonna punch him? How you gonna... Good Lord. Hostile NPC.
God damn.
I'm a personal...
Talking about how he's gonna beat them up or anything like that. Yeah, bro, like that's
enormous amount of legislation that handcuff police officers, exposes them
Why not
to...
now? Better late than never, I guess. I mean, there are a lot of people. So, for example, like, a young lady that was near a park in DC got shot in her arm because of a bad drug deal that happened between a couple homeless people. This really happened. And she's happy now that she's out of the hospital and they're doing something about this. Not to mention, they have congressmen that are being robbed at gunpoint. Like, you have people that are having a lot of problems, like, you know, cars getting broken into, stuff like that. you can't always lead with why now? Why not now? Why not start today so that way you can pave the future? They're not being hurt. These people aren't being hurt. They're just being rounded up and taken off the streets. They're probably going to get the help they need. They're going to end up where they need to be, which is, unfortunately, if they decide, jail or in the homeless shelter where they can get job opportunities and actual help that they need getting off these drugs and away from these criminals. Because, I mean, let's be honest, not every homeless person is a criminal, but there's a good majority of them that are, and we're getting them off the street. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with forcing them to make a decision on, you can either go to jail or you can actually get some help, because a lot of these people, a lot of them have this pity mentality of like the victim card. Look, life sucks, I get it. But sitting on your ass out in the middle of nowhere on like public property or private property, that's not okay. If you can't get a job where you're at, then move. Go somewhere else. Walk it. You're homeless. Get you a little shopping cart whenever it wasn't illegal, and take it, go somewhere else, get a job. But just not doing anything is not a solution to this problem.
Administrative.
It may not be the best decision, but they're doing something. That's all that really matters.
Criminal liability, even when they do their jobs properly. And now, 5 years later, our authorized sworn strength is 4,000 sworn police officers. We currently have 3,180. So we have more than 800
I have lived it. I stayed at a trailer where the hallway was completely gone, and if you stepped out of the living area, you stepped onto the ground just to get to the bathroom. We had barely ever had power. My father is a drug addict, alcohol abuser. If my dad spent the majority of his time in jail away from alcohol and pill popping and going through withdrawals over and over again, I guarantee you he'd have stopped. If he had went to jail for the back child support that he owes us, he would have stopped, because they would have forced him to get help. Because that's what jail's for. It's not just a place to let people sit. There are work programs whenever you get out that help people who are felons find jobs. There are work programs for people who have been addicted to drugs in there. There are programs to help you get off and find other things. Jail isn't just jail. It's a rehabilitation. I absolutely think that going to jail would solve these problems. What other place is there? You get a roof over your head, you get 2 square meals, and you get someone that's going to tell you to go with God. What's wrong with that? That's why they exist, to rehabilitate these people, to put them back as a working member of society. Why do you think that whenever these people that are done killing people, they have a chance to be paroled out and they can become a working member of society again? Jail isn't just a place to rot, it's a rehabilitation. That's the whole reason why it exists. A lot of people seem to forget that. Depends on what you got on your record. Again, if you don't want to do the time and you don't want the repercussions, then don't commit the crime. It takes a lot to get a felony. Now, most of these people that are doing these drugs and that are on the streets, they're not going to get no felony. They'll get an arrest on record, but that's nothing. What they can gain from it is what matters. They can get into rehabilitation programs from going to jail or going to the homeless shelter. There's more positive that could come from this than negative. Most of these people aren't going to go on parole. Like, you do realize that a lot of these people, the reason why they are homeless is probably because they have warrants out for their arrest. They can't get a job because they know that if they get a background check done, they're going to get got. Because every job nowadays does background checks. So, like, that's the reason why my father only ever worked for cash. Like, I've seen these programs. I've seen what they can do. You forget that I was a firefighter, dude. Like, we checked out everything whenever we did our routine. Like, I've seen areas worse than DC. I worked it. Like, we checked everything out whenever we did our routine. Whenever we first got there, they showed us the CB where the communication department was. They brought us over to the police department. They talked about all the programs they offer. Like, and that was a rough neighborhood too. That was a badass neighborhood, bro. These programs exist for their help. If they don't want to utilize them and they want to be homeless, then that's kind of on them. Again, it kind of falls down to if you don't want a felony, don't commit the crime. The felony is a deterrence from you committing the crime. Then don't do the crime. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like I said, most of these people aren't going to get felonies. You got to have like a lot of drugs to get a felony.
Vacancies for the position of police officer.
Wow.
And the way the department makes up for that gap is through 2 million hours of mandatory.
I hate to break it to you, but you can't get a job right now anyway. It don't matter if you're homeless or if you got something on your record. I tried for almost a year and a half to get a job. I couldn't. I got a friend right now who's pretty much fucking homeless himself. He's staying at home with his parents. He got evicted from his apartment because he got fired from a CVS company. He can't. This happened in December of last year. Obviously, because it's not December. But it don't really matter. You can't get a job right now anyway. Damn near impossible.
Overtime every year. So the fact that
and the thing is that, like, if you got cops on overtime, I bet they're in a bad mood. I do. I bet, because how many of y'all like ever work 60, 80 hours a week? You're strung out,
I've worked 120 hours in 1 week before. What's crazy is that as a firefighter, you don't start making overtime until 160. To give you an idea of how long our work weeks are. And that shit sucks. I literally would get off after 2 days of being on, and then I would go home for literally like maybe 20 hours, and then I'd be back up the next day going back into work.
A lot of y'all, like,
days.
probably 60 hours in, you're tired. Like, you're not, you're more irritable. Like, you're in a bad mood. You might be annoyed. Like, yeah, you're making money, sure, but like you deal with this overtime every week. Exactly, right? And so that's really what the problem is. And so you what I'm saying is that, like, paying police officers overtime creates like a second order effect of more negative police interactions because you're overworking.
I hate that a lot of the companies in the US, they're like, we'll give you overtime. You want everyone wants overtime, right? No. Nobody wants overtime. What's the point of having all the goddamn money if you can't spend it? You ain't got the time to because you're too goddamn tired from work, dude. It sucks. Overtime is terrible. Like, whenever I hear, well, we give mandatory overtime, I'm like, nah, it ain't, no. It means you can't keep people. That's what that means to me. Whenever I hear it, I've heard so many jobs be like, oh, you make overtime, so you'll make a whole bunch of money. Whenever I hear that, I get a red flag now that tells me you can't keep people. That's why you're doing that. It's because you can't keep people in these positions because they're quitting because you're overworking them. That's what's going on. Lot of fucking jobs I got hired at in Texas do that.
People. You guys see kind of how this is the domino effect, right?
We need help
how it
from
happens.
federal law enforcement and maybe even the National Guard. It shouldn't come as a surprise, and we agree with that. I think one of the issues here, though, is that we all know that's going to be temporary.
You used to pay a whole bunch in taxes for overtime, but I don't think that's a thing anymore now that Trump passed the no taxes on overtime. There's no taxes on tips and no taxes on overtime now.
To fix this problem and make sure that it doesn't ebb and flow and that the feds come in and we lower crime. And
You
then
can say what you want about Trump, but he's trying. I don't like him, but I see that he's trying, even if I'm very skeptical with the Epstein
we're
stuff.
left holding the bag. It's very important that people know that there is underlying legislation that needs to be corrected so that we can actually properly staff this police department in order to properly police
What's
this.
crazy is these systems have been in place to put these people in jail, these homeless people in jail for as long as I can remember, to be honest. And once they're in jail, they get the help they need. So it just kind of blows my mind that everyone's having a conniption fit over this.
Yeah, no, he's totally right about this. I mean, it's absolutely insane the amount of bullshit that's going on. And a mass shooting, a murder in my front lawn. Oh my God, bro. Like, what the fuck is...
And you would be surprised at how many of these people, the reason why they're homeless is because they've gotten like 7 or 8 like arrests on, or like felonies or something crazy
going on. Yeah, and like this place is just an absolute shithole, bro.
I mean, like, and then you got these homeless people going into these stores and swiping stuff, and then the stores are having to shut down because they can't afford to be open.
Literal shithole.
People keep swiping
Let me
stuff.
see. So they're arresting all homeless people too. Let me see if I find this homeless, DC, homeless DC cleanup, bro. That's what they call it. They call it a cleanup. Okay, give me a minute. Here it is.
Well, that's true, but again, if the problem is going to be this big, then I'm sure that they're going to be passing some more legislation instead of giving like $50 million to like a foreign.
Also, completely unrelated topic. Regarding
Country.
the president's efforts in Washington, D.C., do you have any specifics about how homeless people will be dealt with, where they would be moved to? What does this look like?
I do, yes, and it's an important question, so thank you for raising it.
Yeah.
The Metropolitan Police Department, with the support of new federal agencies who have been surging on the streets of the District of Columbia, are going to enforce the laws that are already on the books here in Washington, D.C. For far too long, these laws have been completely ignored, and the homelessness problem has ravaged the city. So D.C. Code...
The real goal of those laws was to prevent it from getting this bad, but when you've got a bunch of people that just ignore it, then we've got to deal with the new problem of, holy shit, there's a lot of people. Once you get through the, like I said, the shock of everything, like getting all these people finally into where they need to go, it's not going to be as bad. It's just a start of what should have been started a long time ago.
24-100 give the Metropolitan Police Department the authority to take action when it comes to homeless encampments. So homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services.
See?
And if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time.
Exactly.
Again, these are
There you go. There you go. Seek help or go to jail. There's no more in between. You can't sit here and be a fucking NPC and do drugs. You can either go and get help, get back on your feet, or go to jail, and the same outcome's going to happen regardless. Vagrancy is not a felony. I think it's a misdemeanor even. I don't even think it's that big of a deal. And it falls off really fast.
Existing laws that are already on the books, they have not been enforced, which is part of
That's the problem. They just haven't been enforced. Then you've got a buildup of all these people like a blood clot in your vein, and then once you clear it, the heart's like, ugh! and then it's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like
for this federalizing of the National Guard to bring in this assistance for law enforcement while we are.
Well, you do realize that if you go to a store and a lot of their stuff is overpriced, it's because they're trying to make up for, because like that means that they're on the brink of shutting down. If you go to a store and you've got toothpaste in security boxes, like at a Walmart, that store is about to be shut down because there is more theft than there is sales. That's why they raised the price. That's why they do that. Like if you go, like for example, CVS and Walgreens, you could go to a Walmart, actually a better one, Target and Walmart. Target is fancy. Walmart is not. But it depends on where you go, where the Target is located. Because you'll see like $25, this is extreme, like $25 for some fucking toothpaste. Well, it's $23 if I go to the Target up the road. Yeah, but we got theft. They got to figure out a way to stay open if there's so much theft that they're having to put shit in security boxes.
Targeting criminals and trying to remove criminals off of the streets. We also want to make DC safe.
And the only reason why I know that is because I have worked in retail as a manager. And let me tell you what, the furniture department stinks.
Beautiful, and that involves removing mentally disturbed individuals and homeless encampments as well.
Those are the Nevrons.
So we will be using these regulations and code that already exists to clean up our streets. And we've already had great success. Not many of you picked up on this, but the United States Park Police has actually done remarkable work in terms of removing homeless encampments from the city. Since the president signed this executive order in March, 70 homeless encampments have been removed by the U.S. Park Police. There are only 2 homeless encampments remaining in
those are the last bosses. Those are the big ones.
DC federal parks under the National Park Service's jurisdiction, and the removal of those 2 remaining camps is scheduled for this week. So the U.S. Park Police will be leading this effort alongside MPD.
You'll get got, boys.
There it is. And so they're obviously doing this shit like,